from the State of Kuwait. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news for Thursday, the 25th of December 2014. I am Dalia Badran with the headlines for tonight. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister meets the GCC ministers in charge of environment and calls for coordination on the regional and international levels. The United States says the Jordanian plane that crashed in Syria was not shot down by the IS group. Pakistan's government sets up new military courts for terrorism-related cases after an agreement between local political parties. Al-Shabaab militants launch an attack on the main African Union military base near Mogadishu airport in Somalia. Hello and welcome. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, on the passing away of the late Sheikh Jassim bin Thani bin Jassim Muhammad Al Thani. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of the State of Qatar, on the passing away of the late Sheikh Jassim bin Thani bin Jassim bin Muhammad Al Thani. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah also sent a similar cable of condolences. The First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah met at the Seif Palace today with the ministers who are attending the 18th meeting of the ministers who are responsible for environment in the Gulf Cooperation Council. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister expressed hope that the meeting would be successful and would adopt necessary resolutions that would reflect the genuine interest of the GCC member states in working together to improve the environment and coordinate their efforts at the regional and international levels. The Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said he would discuss during his visit to the State of Kuwait on the 17th and 18th of January the regional and international issues, adding that Kuwait was playing an important role in the region. Speaking during a dinner banquet hosted in Ankara last night by Kuwait Ambassador to Turkey, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, His Excellency Abdullah Al-Duwayekh, in his honor, the Turkish Foreign Minister told Kuwait News Agency that he would also discuss relations between the Gulf Cooperation Council and Turkey, as well as the situation in Syria, Iraq and Libya, besides the current efforts to face the Islamic State militia. Mr. Oglo added that on the bilateral side, he would discuss political, economic and mutual investment between the two countries. He thanked Kuwait government for playing host to the forthcoming Arab-Turkish Cooperation Forum in April and described the existing relations between Kuwait and Turkey as excellent. The Turkish Foreign Minister declared that the volume of trade between Turkey and member states of the Arab League has jumped from $6.7 billion in 2003 to $237 billion in 2013. Mr. Oglu underlined the importance of consultations and coordination between Turkey and the Arab countries in the wake of the existing challenges. The U.S. said the Jordanian plane that crashed in Syria was not shot down by the so-called Islamic State group. The plane was lost in IS territory on Wednesday, and the pilot has been captured. IS militants said that they shot down the plane with a heat-seeking missile. However, the U.S. said evidence clearly indicates that this is not true. Jordan is one of 4 Arab states in the U.S.-led coalition that has launched airstrikes on IS targets in Syria. The F-16 fighter jet is the first coalition aircraft to be lost on IS territory since airstrikes began in September. In the most serious incident since the end of the war, fresh fighting erupted between Hamas and Israel on the border of Gaza, leaving casualties on both sides. More with Majd Al-Wahidi from Gaza.
A serious confrontation between Hamas fighters and Israeli soldiers erupted on the border between Gaza and Israel. The clash left one Palestinian dead and 2 others wounded. Hamas movement claimed the killed man as one of its commander in Al-Qassam military wing. The movement holds Israeli occupation accountable for the incident and its consequences.
We hold Israel responsible for its violation. We say to them, don't play with fire. We have strong resistance. Israel won't be safe as long as our people are not safe. What happened at the border was a normal reaction to the occupation and its brutal policies.
On the Israeli side, 1 soldier was wounded. Israeli military say that the fighting had been started by a Palestinian sniper attack on a border patrol, adding that this was a lethal violation of the relative quiet along the Gaza border. After Israel targeted the area and the clash resumed for hours, Hamas evacuated its centers in the city in preparation for Israeli airstrikes. For observers, this is the most violent escalation since the end of Operation Protective Edge.
Yesterday it was a significant point. If there is no serious efforts from the international community and from all the diplomatical bodies to put pressure to Israel to stop this kind of escalation and violation, the situation able to explode in any moment.
After mass destruction and the death of thousands as a result of the summer's conflict, a ceasefire brokered by Egypt was reached between Hamas and Israel. However, tensions have been growing high between both sides, leaving Gazans in frustration and fear of a new explosion, especially amid the absence of a real government and reconstruction efforts. Tensions between Hamas and Israel is not something new. However, the timing of such tensions is critical and will determine the future of a whole population. Majd Al-Wahidi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
Thank you, Majd. Pakistan's Prime Minister announced today the country will set up special trial courts under the supervision of military officers to prosecute terrorism cases in the wake of the Taliban school massacre. Nawaz Sharif spoke in a nationally televised address after meeting with all political parties and the country's military leadership to hash out new counterterrorism policies in the wake of the horrific attack. Sharif said the courts will function for the next 2 years. He gave few details about the courts, but said changes to current laws would need to be made. In the wake of the Pakistani Taliban attack on a school earlier this month that killed 149 people, the military has stepped up operations in the tribal areas. U.S. Senator John McCain visited Kabul today ahead of American troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. He met with Afghanistan Chief Executive Abdullah and assured his country's continued support to Afghanistan. McCain also met with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. McCain's visit to Afghanistan came amid the U.S.-led NATO forces pullout from Afghanistan. Afghan security forces will assume security charge of their country from the 1st of January 2015. Al-Shabaab militants today launched an attack on the main African Union military base near Mogadishu airport in Somalia. The AU spokesman said explosions and gunfire could be heard in the vicinity. Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for the attack and says its fighters are inside the base. The African Union has over 20,000 troops in the country to help the weak government battle Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab spokesman said that fighters had breached the compound's defenses. Earlier this month, at least 6 people were killed when Al-Shabaab attacked the UN convoy near the airport. Talks were held in Belarus aimed at ending the conflict in eastern Ukraine, which has left 4,700 dead. Negotiations were held with the attendance of pro-Moscow rebels, Ukraine international monitors, and Russia. The meeting in Minsk focused on troop withdrawals and aid. However, the talks ended without any indication of progress and with no announced date of the next round of talks. A ceasefire and a framework peace deal were announced in Minsk in September, but neither has been properly observed. Sierra Leone today declared lockdown of at least 3 days in the north of the country to try to contain the Ebola epidemic. Officials said shops, markets, and non-Ebola related travel services will be shut down. Sierra Leone has already banned many public Christmas celebrations. The World Health Organization said more than 7,500 people have died from the outbreak in West Africa so far, with Sierra Leone the worst hit. Sierra Leone has the highest number of Ebola cases in West Africa, with more than 9,000 cases and more than 2,400 deaths since the start of the outbreak. The country has been in a state of emergency since July. Former U.S. President George W. Bush remained hospitalized near his home in Houston as a precaution after experiencing shortness of breath. A spokesman for the 41st president said President Bush would remain at the hospital for another night as after his health condition improved. His latest health setback unfolded on Tuesday when the former president suffered shortness of breath and was taken by ambulance to Houston Methodist Hospital to be held for observation. He was previously treated at the same hospital in November 2012 for bronchitis and ended up spending nearly 2 months as a patient there. The second conference of Kuwaiti Dialogue Center, the KDC, themed Sober Dialogue, Tomorrow's Action, came to a close after adopting a range of recommendations. Participants discussed papers on the impacts of social networking websites, the housing problem, and the sports status quo. There is more on the event in this report by Salim Al-Kandari.
Under the patronage of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, the Kuwaiti Dialogue Center held its second annual conference. This time among the activities they included a seminar that gathered participants in the Debates League organized by the Students' Affairs Department of Kuwait University. Deputized by His Highness the Emir, Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Al-Mahmoud Al-Sabah, opened the gathering and delivered a speech in which he praised His Highness the Emir for patronizing the event. Sheikh Salman al-Sabah highlighted the significance of the national dialogue, particularly among the young generation who should be better prepared for their future roles. On his part, KDC Director and Chairman of the conference, Fahd Al-Taibi, expressed gratitude to His Highness the sponsoring the annual conference for the second time.
Today I welcome you here in the National Library Theatre to launch our second conference under the patronage of His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Sabah. May God protect him and reserve him. Today we will be discussing some of the youth issues concerning their projects, innovative and creative projects. And we'll talk about then the debates organized by the Deanship of Students' Affairs by the University of Kuwait. And we'll talk then about the dialogue and its techniques, and hopefully, inshallah, that this conference will get its success, inshallah, and we will get, inshallah, its positive outcome.
Participants also recommended appropriating an annual budget for the center in order to ensure realizing its targets and delivering its message. This is Kuwaiti Dialogue Center's second conference held for this year. The idea of the conference and also the Dialogue Center is to focus on youth and also dialogue between the government institutions, the civil society, and the youth organizations. From the National Library of Kuwait, this is Sam Kendiri reporting for the English News.
Thank you, Salam. And finally, tonight, at the end of this week's trading at Kuwait Stock Exchange, the three main indices, thousands closed with mixed returns. KSX 15 recorded 1,069.99 points, losing 11.89 points. At the weighted index closed at 441.59 points with a loss of 1.92 points. Meanwhile, the price index ended trading at nearly 6,578 points, earning 31.88 points. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Before we end, here is a quick reminder of today's headlines. The First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister meets the GCC ministers in charge of environment and calls for coordination on the regional and international levels. The United States says the Jordanian plane that crashed in Syria was not shot down by the IS group. Pakistan's government sets up new military courts for terrorism-related cases after an agreement between local political parties. Al-Shabaab militants launch an attack on the main African Union military base near Mogadishu airport in Somalia.